Hello everybody and welcome to a Cortes Productions Unity tutorial. Today we're going to be looking over the character controller and just a couple of different move styles that we can actually use with it. We're going to create our little playground here. It's going to consist of a plane. And we're going to create a null object. And we're going to call this character. Under our character object we're going to create our graphics, which will be consisting of a capsule as well as a sphere for a head. Bring up that head and just make it up to the front. And we're also going to parent the main camera to the character. And under our character node, we're going to give it a character controller. And then a script. We're going to call this script character. You can call it anything you like. I just found that character worked best for me since this is going to be my main character movement. Alright, inside of the script, we're going to need a couple of public floats, the first one being speed, so we can determine the speed of our character. Next one is going to be rotate speed, so we can dictate the rotation speed of our character. Next up is going to be jump speed, so we can determine how high our character jumps. And finally, gravity, which determines the overall gravity of our character. Finally, we're going to create a couple of private variables. The first one's going to be a vector3 called move direction. And we're going to equal that out to a vector3.0 to make sure that starts at a null state. Next up is a character controller, which we'll name controller. And then finally, we're going to have an integer called jumps. In our start function, we're going to call the controller and grab that variable. So let's do that through the get component, character controller. Oop. I can't type today if you guys have realized that. Under the update function, we're going to call the move direction, and we're going to equal that to a new vector3. And inside that vector3, we're going to get the axis of the horizontal for the x. For our y, we're going to have 0, and then for our z, we're going to grab the vertical. Underneath of it, we're going to equal that out to transforms.transform direction, and we're just going to put the move direction inside there. That localizes it so it's no longer tied to the world. And below that, we're going to have move direction times equals our speed variable. And finally, move direction dot y minus equals gravity times time dot delta time to smooth things out. And finally, we're going to have our controller dot move. The difference between simple move and move is that simple move adds on gravity automatically, which means you don't have to mess with adding in your own. However, that means you no longer have the ability to jump. So, using the move function, we're going to put in our move direction, and then we're going to multiply that by times that delta time to yet again smooth things out. This allows us to have some easy movement, going forward, backward, left, right. And let's say if we want our character to jump. Now we need to check if our character is grounded. So we're going to just type in if is grounded, and we're going to bracket in these guys for the movement. And below that, we're going to check if input.get button down. And let's call it fire 1. This will be tied to your left mouse click just right off the bat. And we're going to have move direction dot y is equal to jump speed. And this should allow us to jump. And it does. However, if I jump and I move forward afterwards, it no longer allows me to jump and move forward. It takes on the movement speed that you have before and keeps it that way. So if you're moving really slow and then jump, you'll jump forward really slow. Maybe we don't want this. Maybe we want to actually move while we're jumping. We're going to go ahead and copy that, comment it out, and down below we're going to add in an else statement, and we're going to copy all of the movement directions that we have before, and copy the movement direction times equals speed once more. We're going to go ahead and take out the 0 and replace that with move direction dot y, so it can continuously get our character's y. And then under here for the move direction times equals speed, we're going to have that dot x and dot z, meaning it's no longer actually multiplying it in speed in the y-axis, only in the forward and left and right. Alright, once we play it again, we'll see that we can now actually jump and move, and everything's right in our world. We can now have precision with our jumps. However, let's say if we have animation going on with this. Moving left and right, it actually doesn't show the animation moving left and right. We just have the walk/run animation moving forward. That's a little bit of a problem for us. However, we can easily fix this by taking out the horizontals. Well, first let's copy this really quick and comment it out again. Let's go ahead and take the horizontals and replace that with 0. So we're no longer grabbing the input of horizontal. And down below here, we're going to transform that rotate. And we're going to put 0 for the x and input.getAxis horizontal for the y. And 0 again, meaning we now have the ability to just sit there and rotate ourselves by pressing A or D. And that shines true. And we can now move and spin, and the world is just right. However, we can only jump once. Let's say if our game has multi-jumps. An easy way to do this is to go in here and copy this if statement down below here. And put an end jumps is less than 1. Up above, we're going to put jumps is equal to 0. Since we're grounded, it should reset our jumps. And over here, we're going to do jumps plus plus, meaning every time we press this button, it'll add 1 to the jump meter. So what this does for us is that once we jump once, that's all good, but if we jump again, it allows us to jump again, and then that 1 is how many jumps we have limited. What's really cool about this is that if we go off to the side here and jump, we have 1 jump. So if we're not grounded, we only have 1 jump before we drop. However, if we are grounded and we jump, we have potentially 2 jumps. Alright, and we've went over a couple of different movement types that you can do with the character controller. Hopefully this has helped quite a few of you out. If it has, please leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Have a good one, guys.